Hello everyone. So it seems you have been looking online for some study material for learning Python. Welcome to my channel Code Tree. Here I've tried to bring down all the concepts of Python together in a series of videos, specially made for you guys. I'll start from the very basic and would reach to some intermediate level which will help you to get started with programming or Python in such. I say programming because I would prefer to start my programming career with Python because it is very easy to learn and one of the most wonderful language. It's my favorite language for sure. Even in schools, students have started learning Python. Like in the middle school curriculum, there the Python is being introduced to the students these days. So let's get started. In this first video, I'll set up my system, install Python, and then I will basically get you introduced to Python virtual environment, set up a virtual environment, give you a bit more detail about what is Python virtual environment and why we need it, and then we'll move on to the next videos where we'll get introduced to the data types and other concepts related to Python. So welcome everybody, let's get started. So people, before starting to program in Python, let's first install Python on our computer and set up the environment. So I go online and I go to Chrome and type in download Python. Click on Python. Then I download here. I save it to a location. I've created a folder called documents Python. You can keep it anywhere. And I just let it download it. Yeah. Now let's click on this and install it. So I double click on this one. And I want to do a custom installation. So I do custom installation because I want to select a specific location where I want to install it. Second, by default is this one, but I want to select some other locations. So I go to documents and Python. I open this one and I make a new folder called here called install. And then I say okay, and then I click on install. Yes. So once Python is installed, we would like to add the Python path to our environment variable. Why we add to the environment variable? So that it is accessible from the command line in a very simple way to explain this one. So when you go on the command line and type in Python, you don't have to type in the full path of Python. Rather, Windows goes and searches for the location of the Python and just runs the Python command. So I close this one, it's done. And then I go here, install, and I copy this path. Then I go to Windows and I search for environment variable. I click on environment variable, then path. Click on edit this path, new, and then I just save. Okay, okay, and okay. Along with the path of this Python folder, we also want to keep the location of the scripts folder because we have certain packages which we will need in future, such as pip, which is the package manager for Python, and we will need this one in order to install other libraries in Python. So I copy the script folder, then I go to again environment variable, edit, and then I click on path, and then I new, and then I just paste it. Okay, okay, okay. That's good. Now, how to test that the Python is already installed? Very simple. I go here, I open the command prompt, and then I just type in Python. Yes. So you get a 3.8.5. That was the Python version we downloaded, and it's already available. How to test if it's working? Just type in a very simple print statement, print hello, and that's it. Here you go. Exit. Now let's talk about Python virtual environment. Let me give you an example. Suppose you are working on two projects, Project A and Project B. And the Project A needs some Python libraries which has a version v1.0. And then Project B is another Python project which needs the same library of version 2.0, v2.0. Now, if you have one installation of Python on your computer and the site packages are located in the C drive, then what will happen? If you install version 1.0, you only project first project what you're working which required 1.0 will work, the second project will not work. So here comes the virtual environment which helps us take care of these situations. So using virtual environment, we can basically create a separate installation of Python for each projects on which we are working. So if we are working on project A, we can create a virtual environment project A and install a specific libraries and dependencies for that particular project in that virtual environment. And if you're working on the project B, we can have the similar thing. And if we need the version 2.0 for project B, we can install that particular library with version 2.0 in a separate virtual environment which is specific for project B. Let's try to see this in an example. We'll try to create a virtual environment for a project and try to install some libraries in that virtual environment, and then you will have a bit better understanding of virtual environment. So we just discussed about Python virtual environment and how important it is to know about this virtual environment so that we keep our projects and its dependencies separate. Let's see how to install Python and virtual environment using pip and how to create a Python virtual environment at a specific folder. So we ended up the screen, so we just do a command pip install. Pip is a Python package manager and we'll use this to install every libraries which we need for Python. So pip install virtual env and type in the command. So here we got pip install. Now we will create a Python virtual environment at a specific folder. And for this whole course, I'll just create one folder as a specific location where I'll keep all the files related to this particular project and this particular virtual environment. So I go here where I had an installation Python. I go here. Yeah, I go to desktop back and then I go to Python. Then I create here another folder. I say learn Python. And then I'll open the command prompt here. Let's increase the size a little bit bigger so that it's a bit more clear. Yes. And then I'll set up a virtual environment by using virtual env and then giving a name to the virtual environment. You can give any name, but the most standard people use, or I also like to use, is venv. So I just do this and then press enter. So I have a virtual environment created. When you go there to the location and you see what's the virtual environment, it just creates a folder with installation of Python. Basically, it creates its own script folder and keeps all the dependencies separate. That's what I explained in the video a little bit back. So I just go here and then let me close this one because it will create a bit confusion. And then just let's activate the virtual environment first. So how we activate the virtual environment? We activate it by the command. Let's see what is there. It's dir. So we have a folder called learn Python, and then there is a folder called venv. So I so venv, and then there is a folder called scripts. I go there, and there is a bat file called activate. So I just take that bat file and click on run. Now, as soon as the virtual environment is activated, you see something like this. So it's a bracket, within the bracket, the name of the virtual environment. So now if I install anything, any libraries for my project or for this particular course what we are going to take, it will be installed in this virtual environment and we will be using that particular libraries and the version of those libraries. Like suppose I install one Python library is called pandas. So if I say something like pip install pandas, this pandas is installed in this location, which is our virtual environment. This is here. And see if we go here, this is the location where we will get our libraries installed. So probably the site packages, and then here we installed pandas just now, so we get pandas here, which is here. So I just minimize this. Yeah, the installation is completed. How to check if pandas was installed? So I type in Python again, and I just go here and I try to import the library. Import ts pandas, and it's done. So that's what's nice. We set up our system, we installed Python, we learned what is virtual environment when we created a virtual environment as well. In the next video, let's get into understanding what is actually Python, what goes behind the scene, what is the difference between Python and other programming language. And you would have heard like Python is an interpreter and other programming languages like C, C++ works like in compiler. But what is the difference between an interpreter and compiler? Let's have a look at this.